sebelumnya. Oke, terima kasih banyak untuk teman-teman yang udah hadir pada sore hari ini. Selamat datang dan juga semoga teman-teman dalam keadaan sehat semua ya. Pada kesempatan sore hari ini, Solus, yaitu sebuah platform untuk freelancer yang ada di Indonesia, berkesempatan untuk berkolaborasi dengan Anton Lucanus. Dia adalah seorang CEO, entrepreneur, freelancer, dan juga seorang influencer nih. Kalau misalnya teman-teman pernah ketemu akun Ojek Bule di Instagram, ya ini adalah sosok di balik Ojek Bule itu. Mungkin nanti teman-teman setelah di waktu Q&A boleh tanya-tanya tuh gimana ceritanya seorang Anton Lucanus memulai personanya sebagai Ojek Bule. Tapi nanti kita akan fokus ke gimana caranya Anton bisa mendapatkan orderan dari klien, repeat order dari klien internasional ya, dan juga nanti Anton akan membagikan rahasia dan formulanya. Jadi sebagai seorang freelancer, Anton adalah sudah berfokus mengerjakan SEO, PR consultant, dan juga digital marketing selama kurang lebih lebih dari 7 tahun nih. Jadi pengalamannya udah nggak main-main lagi. Jadi di sore hari ini dia mungkin akan memberikan sedikit formula rahasianya gimana sih caranya biar gimana selama 7 tahun lebih itu dia bisa membangun networking dan juga karir freelance yang mantap sampai hingga bisa segede sekarang ini dan memiliki perusahaan bernama Reputio gitu kurang lebihnya. Dan juga untuk selanjutnya mungkin aku akan menjelaskan sedikit aturan main di SolMate Talk pada sore hari ini. Yang pertama durasinya kurang lebih adalah 60 menit. Terus juga untuk teman-teman yang belum rename display name dari nama dan juga domisili, boleh minta tolong diganti. Dan juga kalau misalnya memungkinkan, minta tolong untuk teman-teman bisa menyalakan videonya agar nanti kita bisa berkomunikasi secara lebih interaktif ya. Dan juga kalau misalnya teman-teman ada di ruangan yang mungkin noise-nya terlalu banyak, boleh berpindah ke ruangan yang lebih kondusif agar bisa lebih fokus mengikuti webinar pada sore hari ini. Dan juga kalau misalnya ada pertanyaan selama webinar berlangsung, jangan ragu-ragu untuk sampaikan di kolom komentar atau kolom chat, dan nanti kita akan bahas satu persatu di Q&A. Tapi kalau misalnya nanti selama Q&A tiba-tiba muncul pertanyaan, boleh tuh open mic dan langsung tanya aja, gitu, dan nanti akan dijawab langsung oleh Anton. Selama diskusi berlangsung, mohon untuk selalu mute mikrofonnya ya, biar noise-nya nggak mengganggu. Dan yang terakhir adalah webinar pada sore hari ini akan direkam sebagai dokumentasi Solus untuk kedepannya. Kurang lebih kayak gitu. Dan selanjutnya, sebelum kita lempar ke acara utama, akan ada sedikit sambutan dan juga welcome speech dari CEO Solus atau Bapak Solus kita nih udah hadir pada bersama kita di sore hari ini. Ada Ricky Willianto. Halo Kak Ricky, gimana kabarnya?
Halo Aji, thank you so much for the intro. Baik.
Oke deh, kalau gitu waktu dan tempat dipersilakan, silakan Kak Ricky.
Thank you. Jadi teman-teman SolMate, thank you so much for joining our event hari ini ya. So as you know, I think for Solus, sebenarnya kita punya our vision has always been untuk memberdayakan manusia-manusia, orang-orang di Indonesia to do more like important and meaningful work in their life secara sustainable ya. Dan selain menjadi sebuah platform di mana kita membantu freelancer dan solo entrepreneur untuk scaling their business, mendapatkan klien, dan basically help them grow their income, kita juga sangat percaya dengan power of community and the power of education through community. And today we're very lucky, kita bakal belajar langsung dari seorang solopreneur yang banyak sekali talentanya, yaitu Anton, and he will share with us some of the things that he's learned untuk membantu dia mendapatkan lebih banyak klien lagi dan juga grow his business in the past few years since he started as an entrepreneur. So tanpa banyak ngomong lagi, mungkin saya langsung aja welcome Anton to take on the stage. So welcome Anton, and please, the time is yours.
Oke, salam satu aspal teman-teman. Apa kabar hari ini? Wah, semuanya pasti udah lelah ya, karena ini udah Jumat sore. Semoga masih punya daya. Nah, dan aku harus mohon maaf, udah beberapa tahun sejak saya pakai bahasa Indonesia, karena pada 2 tahun lalu saya pindah ke Singapura, dan sejak itu jarang pakai bahasa. Jadi kadang-kadang harus pakai bahasa Inggris. Nah, jadi dari yang saya tahu, semua orang di sini adalah aspiring freelancer atau aspiring freelancer ya. Jadi presentasi ini akan kasih tips dong untuk win clients, memang klien, and sell online as a freelancer. So I will share my screen. Here we go. Can you guys see my screen? It's all good. Okay. Wonderful. All right. So we're all freelancers. It's an interesting time. In 2020, everyone sort of stopped working in offices and started working remotely. And I'm sure a lot of us thought, well, why don't I just work for myself? With that is great. You get a lot of freedom, but it comes with its own set of challenges. And the biggest challenge of all, in my opinion, is winning clients, keeping clients, and growing your client base. Because without clients, we are going to have to go back to regular jobs and we can't do our fun freelance work anymore, right? So the freelancer economy is really interesting. Di Amerika, 29% dari pekerja bilang mereka akan quit work kalau terpaksa kerja dari kantor setelah COVID. That's really interesting. It looks like everybody sort of wants to work from home nowadays. In the next 3 years, over half of the workforce will choose self-employment. So freelancers are not a small minority anymore. In 3 years, we will cover about 50% of the entire workforce. I find that's really interesting. And even those who stay employed, a lot of us will still do freelance work on the side of our jobs, right? So you might work for a big company, but on the side of work, you might be like a freelance photographer or a freelance graphic designer pursuing a real passion of yours. Again, this is data from America. I couldn't find data from Indonesia. But in 2021, the freelance industry in America was worth 1.3 trillion US dollars. That's a lot of money. And this is an 8% growth from 2020. Now that's really big industry growth. Not only is the freelance economy growing, but people are, in terms of like qualitatively, they're preferring to work as freelancers. So here, this is data again from America, but it's still quite interesting. 63% of freelancers say they prefer working as a freelancer than working for a traditional employer. And that's for freelancers which might already be working in a job. For freelancers who are working full-time, 76% say they prefer working as freelancers. So when people work as freelancers, they typically like it and they typically want to stay freelancers. And their reasons are quite varied, but mostly it's to do with flexibility. So these are the reasons people are preferring to do freelancing. The number one reason is they like having flexibility in their daily schedule, right? And I'm sure as freelancers in this Zoom room, that's one of the things that we like the most. You can go to the gym whenever you want, or you can go meet friends whenever you want. You can work at night, in the day, it doesn't matter. You get lots of flexibility. You can also choose to work from wherever. You can work from home, a cafe, co-working space. And mostly, and this is the reason that I like freelancing myself, is that you can pursue work that you really find meaningful or enjoyable, right? So if you're working for a company, like a big company and you don't feel like you're making an impact on the company. Often if you freelance, you can do work that you enjoy more. And then there's a bunch of other reasons, but these are the main reasons. So job satisfaction of freelancers is typically around 10% higher, 8% higher for freelancers than non-freelancers. So freelancers are happier. They're happier overall in their jobs. They're happier day to day in their jobs, and they feel like they have a much better work-life balance. Okay. So freelancers are happy. The freelance economy is growing. It's only going to get bigger. And so how can we, as freelancers, make the most of this really booming industry and win clients and continue to make the most of freelancing? Is the question that we have to ask ourselves. Well, there's I've broken this down into four key ways. I think one is find your niche, find what you want to do. All right, I'm sure we all sort of probably know that already. If you're a good writer, maybe you want to go into content writing. Maybe if you're a good graphic designer, you want to go into logo design or web design or something like that. Secondly is we need to really brand ourselves online, get our online presence right, so perfect your online profile. Third is we need to do a really good job at what we do. And fourth is, once we do that job, we need to find a way to upsell and incentivize referrals and clients. Now, I'll talk about these four things in more depth over the course of this talk, but this is sort of just the contents of what's coming up. Okay, so who am I? Biasanya dikenal sebagai Ojek Bule, tapi saya memang ada nama juga, yaitu Anton. Ojek Bule sudah ketabrak pada tahun 2020 dan mati. Sayang sekali Ojek Bule tidak ada lagi. Dan sekarang cuman ada Mas Anton. Jadi siapa Mas Anton ini? Mas Anton adalah the founder of Reputio. So Reputio is an agency which I own and I work for, and we offer search engine optimization, SEO, and public relations services. And I offer these services as a freelancer under the name of Reputio. And this has been around since 2017. And since then, in 5 years, we've managed to win about $5 million in freelance projects. Now, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because I've really learned a thing or two over the years on how to maximize how to win clients and how to maximize how much you can earn from clients and how to keep them coming back. So a lot of our clients, they've been with us since 2017, since day one. And I've learned so much about how to keep them coming back for more and more and more. And I can't wait to share with you some of the things that I've learned from this journey today here in this presentation. So something else about me, People Per Hour is a big freelance marketplace full of 2 million freelancers. And it's really interesting because you see all sorts of different freelancers. There's 2 million of them, and you can sort of see which ones are, and they have rankings, and I'm ranked number 42 out of 2 million. And it's interesting because I can see the guys who are ranked at number 1 or number 10 or number 20 or number 30. And I can see the guys who are ranked at number 1,000. And you can start to compare and learn what some people are doing differently to others. And once again, through this experience, I can't wait to share with you some of the tips that I've learned. And aku juga suka nge-Ojek. Yeah. So the first thing as a freelancer, and I hope you're at a place where you've found your niche already, but if not, you want to find your niche. And by that, I mean, you want to be really specific about what services you offer. So sebagai contoh, there is a big difference between saying, I'm a logo design expert, which is very specific, versus something very broad, like I'm a marketing expert who can help with content creation, branding, graphic design, and illustration. Okay. Do you see the difference between both of these niches? In the case of something like content writing, we could say, I am a content writer who specializes in press releases versus, or I'm a content writer who specializes in website copy instead of I'm a content writer. There is a big difference. So ask yourself, if you haven't begun freelancing yet, ask yourself specifically, what niche do you want to go in? If you are already freelancing, I would advise to ask yourself, what do the majority of your jobs tend to be? And I'll give you an example from my personal experience. I started doing SEO, broadly doing SEO. Now, SEO has a lot of components. I don't know how much you guys know about SEO, but you can do on-page SEO. That's where you edit a website and make the content look really good for Google. And you can do off-page SEO. That's where you build backlinks pointing to your website. And that helps Google recognize your website and rank them highly. I realized that most of my clients were coming to me for off-page SEO and link building. They wanted me to build backlinks for them. So instead of branding myself as a general SEO specialist, I started branding myself as a link building specialist. And this enabled me to land a huge amount more clients because they're specifically looking for link building. We need to remember, clients are looking for something very specific. They're very rarely looking just for like marketing or content. They're typically looking for some very specific sub-niche of marketing. For example, something like Facebook marketing or Instagram marketing or SEO marketing or something really specific. And if you can hit those keywords through your profile, you're going to do really well for yourself. Typically, when clients are looking for someone, like I say on this slide, they want to find experts on a specific problem in a specific industry, not generalists. So on your freelancer profile, try to explain what you do very specifically. Now let's talk about building a freelancer profile. Where are you guys, like you can just drop into the chat here. Where are you guys currently advertising your services? Is it, sorry. Where are you guys currently advertising your services? Are you on like LinkedIn, or are you advertising on Instagram, or are you on like freelancer marketplaces? Like, do you have a profile with Solos, or maybe anything else like Fiverr or People Per Hour or something? LinkedIn and Solos. Okay, cool. Social media.
Iklanin jasanya di mana aja nih? Di sini udah ada yang jawab LinkedIn, Fiverr, social media, Instagram, LinkedIn.
Okay.
Kebanyakan LinkedIn ya. Telus International. Banyak
Okay,
juga
LinkedIn.
nih.
Okay. So if you're currently only on social media, like I see some people like only on LinkedIn or only on social media, I strongly recommend for you to go and build a profile on something that's more freelancer specific, because typically when clients are looking for services, if they're looking for employees, LinkedIn is a great place to find talent. But if they're looking for services, most clients are actually going to be attracted to a freelancer marketplace that's full of freelancers offering their specific service. So I know Solos, for example, is strongly affiliated with a big freelancer marketplace called Ravelry. And Ravelry has a bunch of people who offer services in market research, right? So if I'm looking for people who can perform market research for me, I'm going to go to Ravelry. I'm rarely going to go onto like Instagram or LinkedIn, although those are still important marketing channels. So if you're not already, sign up to a freelance marketplace, including Solos, and I'll give you some tips on how to build your profile on a marketplace. So think of your profile as having various components, each of which serves a really specific purpose. And we can get down into specifics here. For example, your photo has to show that you are warm and inviting. You need to show that you have testimonials or social proof from any of your past clients. Let's talk about some of these components and how they can help you build client trust and win a few clients. The first thing we as humans noticed is normally aesthetics, right? When you go to a website to look for anything at all, instantly, before you can actually read the content, we notice things like colors, images, and we associate these sort of things with trust. So if you come across a website and you're going to go buy from that website and it looks really good, we typically think the product that we're buying is looking really good as well, right? Whereas if a website looks really bad, we're not necessarily going to think they sell the best quality products. The same thing comes with freelance profiles. You need to make sure that your profile looks really good with aesthetic images. And this starts from something really as basic as your profile photo, right? So on the right here, these are real examples from a freelancer marketplace that I've copied and pasted into this presentation of freelancers trying to sell their services, okay? I don't think we need to talk too much about which of these photos look really good and trustworthy as a client and which ones look a little bit bad or dodgy. So one guy just has an animated photo. We don't want that. People want to know that they're talking with a real person. This guy's just got sunglasses on and he's just cropped his face out of a photo with his girlfriend or sister or whoever that is. And this guy's photo is sort of blurry in a market. I like this guy's photo in the bottom left. His smile is warm and inviting. It's high definition. There's a nice aesthetic background. And if I was a client, instantly, I know that I can trust him the most. That's the first thing people are going to notice about you. The next thing they're going to look at is your title. What do you put for your title? Are you going to just put content writer? Or are you going to write something that stands out? For example, content writer, fluent in English with 10 years of experience. Instantly, I look at someone who writes that and it has who writes a title like that. And it will have a bunch of things that I want as a client. Hey, I would love to work with someone who has 10 years of experience. So I strongly recommend putting something about your experience in your title. It also says it's one of your unique selling points. For example, that you're fluent in English. Now, as a client, I like that because I'm coming across a lot of content writers who don't have those skills. So if you're a logo designer, for example, you could say something like, I'm a logo designer with a logo designer who's designed over 1,000 logos. Instantly, I know as a potential client that you carry with you this great experience of designing logos for people across all industries with various styles. Get creative and make sure that your title stands out. Next comes to your description. The first sentence, you've got to grab the reader's attention. If you just say, hi, I'm a content writer, that's great, but But what really differentiates you from the crowd? I think one important thing to remember is that when a client approaches you and contacts you, they're typically contacting anywhere between 5 to even 50 other freelancers. Now, that means that you've got anywhere between a 1 in 5 to 1 in 50 chance of landing this client ahead of all the other freelancers, right? Those are quite low odds. So think to yourself, what can I do to stand out and maximize those odds? Well, first, there's a couple of tips that I've already mentioned, but your description is really important. They're browsing lots of profiles. How are they going to notice your profile? Say something that grabs the reader's attention. You should always outline your years of experience as well. And you should also be very specific about the services you offer. I think I've touched upon all of these in brief, but please ensure you include them in any profile descriptions as well. So that's about aesthetics and content. What's also important in your profile is social proof. When clients come to you, they want to know lots of things. They want to know that you've done work before for many years, for many clients. They typically want to know that you've worked for some big clients. A client will typically think, if this big company has trusted this person to do this job, then I can trust that person too. So hopefully you've got 1 or 2 clients which you can add to your profile. And they also want to know what other people are saying about you, right? And that's why it's important to include testimonials. So there's three big points here about social proof. Show which past companies you've worked for. Show their logos. This helps the client feel safe. 2, if you can, I strongly recommend trying to get some testimonials from previous clients you've worked for. And I'll give you some examples later, but try to include as much information you can in those testimonials, like an image of them and their real name. And also, I find a really good testimonial is when a client really gives real data and statistics about how you changed their company. So for example, the other day, my company, we were looking for a provider for CRMs, customer relationship management software. And there was this really nice testimonial that I read that one customer said the CRM was so powerful that it allowed each employee to save 1 hour every day of their working time. And I thought, wow, this is a really good product. If it's helping you be that much more productive, imagine the return on investment we could get from purchasing this CRM. So if you can, try to include some real data or statistics about how you change their company. Now, this could be something like, if you are an advertising consultant, a freelance advertising consultant, maybe you could give an example about how one customer received an ROI of, 2x by investing in your services, and include that in the testimonial. So the testimonial will say something along the lines of, I invested this amount into these services and I received 2x back. That's quite a good selling point. I don't know how easy this is for you guys, but if you can, try to show any media websites that have featured you or any blogs. This is more applicable to companies than freelancers, but still, it's just one more element of social proof. So let me give you some examples of what I have in my freelancer profiles that has really helped me sell using social proof. So this is an image. This is just one JPEG file image that I typically share on any freelancer profile. And what this does is it shows that I've worked with a bunch of big companies. I'll only add a company to this list if they're big or if they have their own Wikipedia page. But it also shows that I'm quite diverse. And I can work with companies from all industries, and companies from all industries are trusting my services, right? So I strongly recommend creating a similar image for yourself. And I'm just going to pause now for a few seconds so you can take a screenshot and create something similar if you want to. The next thing that really helps me sell is testimonials. Let's have a look at some examples of some not so good testimonials versus some really great testimonials. This is more or less the same testimonial. It's from a fictional person called Bule, who is the CEO of a fictional website called indonesiatravel.com. But look how different the testimonial on the right looks compared to the testimonial on the left. Have you guys ever come across a product that you want to sell? That you're looking at buying? It could be like maybe like a software or a physical product that on an e-commerce store, and they'll have a testimonial where it just gives a first name, and then it won't actually tell you anything more about the person. And you start to actually, the point of the testimonial is to build trust, but you start to actually build distrust because the company hasn't revealed who this testimonial is even from. What I find, and I should declare now there's an error on this slide. I was supposed to add a surname, nama keluarga, for Devi. But I find a really good testimonial that really does build trust is when you add a full name for the testimonial, you add the position and the website and a photo. That's just the information and metadata about a person. But what about the actual content of the testimonial itself? Like I was talking about a couple of minutes ago, you typically want to include specific examples of how this person helped your company. So this is a testimonial for a writer called Bunga. And Devi says, Bunga has written for our website and her articles attracted over 5,000 readers, right? Versus Bunga was great to work with and very friendly. Now, as a potential client, I'm probably thinking, if I'm looking at these two different testimonials, I'm thinking, well, most people I work with are great to work with and very friendly, but what about the impact that their work can have on my company? The reason why I'm going to obviously go for the testimonial on the right is I'm thinking, wow, Bule can write content that attracts over 5,000 readers. I want similar content like that on my website, and this testimonial is social proof for me hiring Bunga's services. Beyond social proof, there's intrinsic proof. Now, intrinsic proof basically means your portfolio. Clients almost always want to see your past work. Now, I'm a freelancer myself. Almost invariably, almost always, I get asked before I can close any deal if a client can see examples of my past work. Maybe if it's SEO, they might want to see an SEO report. If it's PR, public relations, they might want to see some articles that I've successfully published for some clients before. It's therefore really important that you have examples in whatever form it may be. So obviously, if you're a graphic designer, your examples would be some graphics that you've done before. And it's really important that you have those ready to share with any potential clients. So this could be like screenshots or case studies or links to your work, anything that really showcases your work. It's really important to make sure this is your best work and presented nicely. What's also nice is if you can find work that you've done before that is similar to the work that a client is looking to produce. So if you're a graphic designer and the client is a startup in the healthcare industry looking to create a logo, it would be nice if you can show them any logos that you've created for healthcare, specifically for healthcare companies before. So make sure that the work you share them if you've got a big portfolio, make sure the work you share with them is specific. One of the most important things people forget about their freelancer profile is a call to action. In fact, in any communication, not just your freelancer profile, you typically need a really important call to action. So this could be something like, get a free consultation, book something on my calendar, get a free SEO audit, or get a free marketing audit, or contact me. Make sure in your profile there is a call to action that really directs someone to wanting to work with you. Okay, you've landed your first client, right? So Ojek Bule here, he's landed his first client at a banyak 2,000 rupiah. He's very happy. Now what? It's really important, and I can't understate this, to do a really, 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 really good job, right? These are some important things to remember. Every client is worth more than one deal. If one client comes to you and he wants to pay you, you know, 5 juta rupiah to design a logo, it's not just 5 juta rupiah. Let me explain. This client will inevitably have further projects. So although this month he might only be paying 5 juta rupiah, if you keep working with them for 5 years, he could end up paying maybe $50,000 instead of $500. Secondly, this client has a network of other people who they will refer to you. They might have friends and family, colleagues from other companies, friends from other companies. They might even join a new company and hire your services using that new company while the old company still hires your services. As you can see, this one deal is worth a lot more than $500. So it's really important that we don't ignore the deal, and we don't ignore the quality of the work, and we do everything within our power to get that client to keep coming back to us, but also refer other clients to us. So what are the components of doing a very, very, very good job? Just like building a profile, there are various components to doing this. The first is your initial response time has to be really quick, right? This is like the first impression that a client has after seeing your profile. There's an interesting statistic I read from a company called Lead Simple, who ran some studies on this. And they found out that if you respond to a client within the first 30 minutes of them contacting you, you have 21 times more, you're 21 more times more likely to land that client than if you respond after 30 minutes. Think about that. That's a huge difference in your ability to win the client. Messaging and communication is important. Always have the utmost courtesy and respect. For example, if you're emailing or messaging a client, always start every message with thanks for your email or thanks for your message. Often a client will come to you and they won't be specifically clear. They'll say something like, do you offer freelance content writing services? Instead of just saying yes, you could say, thanks for your email. Yes, I do offer freelance content writing services. How can I help? And remember to end every message with a friendly call to action. So how can I help is a call to action. Let me know if you would like to proceed is a call to action. We should have call to actions at every step of the journey that helps migrate a customer, a potential client, through a funnel and pushes them towards a sale. Doing the work, I mean, there's not much I can talk about here apart from make sure you're doing a really good job, right? So if you can, find out what your competitors are doing and see what the standard is in your industry for your service, and try to offer a service that at bare minimum is on par with your competitors, hopefully even better. Like I always say, you want to be able to stand out from the crowd in every way possible, and there's no better way of standing out from the crowd than delivering better work than the crowd. And in that example I gave, a very good job, if you do a good job, it can turn that $500 deal into $200,000 instead. So over the course of many, many years, right? Because that client will keep coming back and they'll refer other people to your business as well. And all of a sudden, this one little deal will be worth more than you can even imagine. So now that you've done the work, you've finished your project, does that mean everything's done and you can just move on and try to land a new client? No, you want to nurture this client. You want to treat them like a baby and watch them grow. And that means there are certain things that we need to do. So firstly, we want to upsell that client to keep coming back to us, right? So offer them maybe a discount if they purchase a service from you again, or maybe you have other services in your repertoire. If you're, for example, a video editor, maybe you also offer an animation service or a script writing service. If you're a blog writer, maybe you can also offer to produce a white paper for the client. And then secondly, incentivize referrals. By incentivize referrals, I mean, what can you do? Think about what can you do to push this client to get friends and family and colleagues to also purchase services from you. So there are a number of ways we can do this. For example, you can offer certain rewards if the client refers someone else. Maybe you can provide them a discount on your next service if they refer someone to work with you. You could give them referral bonuses. So you could say, I will give you $100 of my services, of credit for my services, if you refer one other client to me. This one is what works really well for me, is if you give a client a percentage of the referred client's revenue, it works really well. And I give referrers 20% of any clients they refer. And this really incentivizes them, because then they go out into the market and they will become like your little sales employees and try to refer as many people as possible, because they know they can get 20% of the fee without doing any of the work. And it's a really powerful tactic. Be generous with referral bonuses. Make them lucrative. Don't make it small. A new client's worth a lot of money, and therefore you should be offering really big incentives for anybody who refers a client. So if you want to begin this journey, like I said, finding your niche, building your profile, and then obviously performing your work and building referrals and upselling clients for whatever services you're offering or what you're passionate about, then I recommend signing up to Solos. And you can do so with this link here that I've included. Maybe you want to take a screenshot of that. Aji, maybe you want to, or Ricky, maybe you want to take over a bit about how Solos can help with the freelancer journey.
Sure. Thank you so much, Anton, for the amazing presentation. And maybe Mas Ricky, can you take over?
Sure. Hey, thanks so much, Anton. That was really good. I learned a lot of new things as well from you. So hopefully our Solos platform can also kind of leverage some of the tips and the strategies that you've shared. So I think untuk teman-teman yang nggak pernah ngeliat Solos, okay, I am sharing my screen here. This is my profile on Solos. So Solos itu sebenarnya adalah satu URL ya, yang menggabungkan portfolio kamu dan storefront atau online shop kamu, dan juga personal bio kamu. Dan ini adalah URL yang kamu bisa embed di Instagram, di LinkedIn, Twitter, dan juga bisa di-share melalui WhatsApp dengan gampang. Dan the point of Solos itu adalah URL ini bisa kamu share dengan cepat, jadi klien kamu bisa membeli dengan cepat, ya kan? Yang tadi Anton bilang misalnya kan, kayak klien itu kalau kamu mau benar-benar mendapatkan deal dengan cepat, kamu harus responsnya cepat juga dong, ya kan? Jadi kita harapannya menggunakan Solos itu kalian juga bisa mendapatkan hal itu dengan cepat. Jadi ini adalah contoh profil yang kamu bisa dapatkan menggunakan Solos. Jadi di dalam profil ini kamu bisa lihat ada bio, kamu bisa nge-list expertise kamu itu apa aja sih sebagai seorang freelancer. Ingat yang tadi Anton bilang itu harus niche ya, harus spesifik expertise kamu, jadi jangan terlalu generik. kamu bisa ada kayak time booking link juga. Jadi klien kamu bisa langsung book time di kalender kamu, udah ada Google Meet-nya, dan bisa langsung ngobrol daripada harus jadwal-jadwalin agak susah. Dan paling penting itu kita ada e-commerce feature ya, atau online shop feature yang benar-benar didesain untuk bisnis jasa. Jadi kalau kamu mau menjual bisnis seperti kayak saya gitu, kan saya bisnisnya consulting ya, jadi saya ada innovation coaching, atau mungkin saya ada public speaking, jadi bisa kamu list semua katalog service kamu itu di dalam Solos URL kamu dengan gampang. Dan misalnya kalau klien kamu yang kamu udah kirimin link ini, interested sama kerjaan kamu yang ini misalnya, dia tinggal klik view more, kamu bisa pasang portofolio kamu di sini, ya kan, ini bisa foto, video, ataupun PDF. Dan kalau kliennya interested, dia bisa langsung minta quotation, atau bahkan beli langsung. Dan semua pertanyaan ini bisa kamu customize berdasarkan apa yang sesuai lah dengan keperluan kamu untuk mengerti needs dan requirement klien kamu. Dan once the client request for this, di dalam back-end-nya, kamu akan menerima notification, dan kamu bisa langsung melihat ada siapa aja sih yang sudah meminta kerjaan dari kamu, dan kamu bisa langsung kirim quotation dengan cepat. Dengan satu klik saja, kamu bisa langsung klik ini, dan kamu bisa ngisi scope of work-nya apa, mungkin kamu mau charge kliennya IDR kayak 1 juta untuk kerjaan ini, kamu bisa langsung klik quotation-nya, kirim quotation atau send quote, dan kliennya bisa langsung membeli service kamu, kalau dia senang dengan scope of work yang kamu sudah persiapkan. Jadi inilah ringkasnya, Solus itu apa. Jadi sekarang kita masih dalam sesi beta user ya, jadi kita masih nggak membuka sign up-nya kepada siapapun, tapi untuk teman-teman yang hadir hari ini, kalian bakal mendapatkan link khusus dari Aji, ntar lagi dia bakal share, dan itu adalah link yang kalian bisa gunakan untuk mendapatkan akses Solus. Dan juga kita ada Kak Hana di sini dari Solus juga, dia adalah customer success kita yang bakal membantu teman-teman kalau misalnya ada kesulitan dari segi onboarding dan bikin profilnya. Jadi kalau ada pertanyaan silakan saja reach out to Aji atau Hana atau bahkan saya, dan kita bisa membantu teman-teman untuk memastikan profil Solus teman-teman itu bagus dan bisa siap untuk mendapatkan deal dari klien. Begitu saja dari saya, Aji, back to you.
Ya, thank you so much Mas Riki, dan juga tentunya terima kasih banyak buat Anton untuk presentasi yang oke banget. Nah, selagi tadi kita presentasi nih, selagi Anton presentasi ternyata udah ada ini nih pertanyaan yang keren banget dari Dimas di Jakarta. Dia ada pertanyaan. Tadi kan dibilang kalau misalnya kita tuh harus nyari klien dengan cara post profile kita di platform kayak Fiverr, Upwork, dan sejenisnya. Sementara di sana tuh kayak banyak perang harga tuh, banyak yang saingan harga untuk jatuh-jatuhan harga, banding-bandingan harga biar makin murah kan makin dilirik sama klien nih. Dimana banyak yang mengejar quantity dibandingin sama quality. Dimana mau nggak mau untuk menangin klien kita juga ikut nurunin harga nih sebagai freelancer. Kalau dari pengalaman Anton, gimana tanggapannya terhadap hal tersebut? Terus strategi kayak gimana sih untuk bersaing di dunia freelance yang pasti menghindari terjadinya perang harga. Kan sebagai freelancer tuh tetap pengen dapat klien, tapi di sisi lain juga nggak pengen nurunin harga jasa yang kita tawarkan, karena kan sama aja kalau misalnya dengan kita nurunin harga jasa, sama aja ngerusak branding yang udah kita bangun gitu loh. Jadi kurang lebih pertanyaan dari Dimas adalah ngomongin soal gimana menjaga harga tetap tinggi tapi tetap dapat klien. Gitu.
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's a real problem as well. I see it all the time. There is a price war, and some clients, although not all, will simply just go for the service with the lowest price. Now, I would say this really depends on how much social proof you have. So if you're talking specifically about a marketplace like Fiverr, if you have a lot of ratings on your profile, and if you're an already established freelancer, then I would strongly recommend you to not lower your prices at all. Keep your prices high. People know that they get what they pay for. If you're just starting out, then obviously you kind of have to engage with this in this price war just so you can get your first few clients. But remember to know your worth at the same time. Like I see this all the time where a client will come and they'll say, give me this service for this ridiculously low price or else I'm going to go to a competitor. And typically I will let them go because often a client will have to find out the hard way that going for the lowest price doesn't necessarily mean the best quality work. And I would say offer your price as low as you can, but only within reason. And if a client keeps pushing you to offer lower, be firm. Especially if you already have a lot of social proof up your belt with ratings and reviews and testimonials. Without any further context, I can't provide more specific advice, but that's typically my advice, and I find that's what works. And I typically don't engage with negotiations and price wars with clients, and I can still get pretty decent sales. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the tips and also the strategy, Anton. Semoga bisa membantu teman-teman yang mengalami masalah kayak Dimas ya, untuk menghindari perang harga dan juga banting-bantingan harga demi dapat klien. Selanjutnya kalau misalnya masih ada pertanyaan lagi, silahkan sampaikan dan Anton nantinya akan menjawab. Tapi kalau misalnya sekarang belum ada pertanyaan, boleh di-keep, tapi kalau misalnya nanti setelah acara ini selesai, boleh juga langsung sampaikan kalau misalnya teman-teman udah sejauh gabung di komunitas Solos, sampaikan di sana, dan kita akan reach out ke Anton buat bantu jawab, kurang lebih kayak gitu. Ada pertanyaan lagi sejauh ini? Semuanya aman? All good? Oke. Oke deh, kalau misalnya emang nggak ada, kita masuk ke acara yang paling dinanti-nanti selain obrolan dari Anton tadi yang tentunya jadi prioritas utama kita, tapi tentunya ada yang menarik lagi nih selain kehadiran Anton di sore hari ini, yaitu ada door prize dari Solos, yaitu GoPay sebesar Rp50.000. Sesuai dengan brandingnya nih, Anton yang dulu sempat bekerja di Ojek sebagai driver, bermurah hati nih buat bagi-bagi saldo GoPay. Jadi, let me share my screen. Dan ini nih, mari kita mulai roulette-nya. Dan siapakah yang beruntung untuk mendapatkan saldo GoPay dari Anton? Oke. Oke, selamat kepada Ibnu Sultan. Ibnu Sultan hadir nggak nih? Masih ada?
Iya, ada.
Oke deh, selamat sudah menjadi SolMate yang beruntung mendapatkan saldo GoPay dari Anton. Jadi setelah ini,
Thank you, Anton.
Ibnu Sultan udah gabung di komunitas Solos belum? Udah gabung di Discord?
Ke Discord-nya belum, Mas.
Oke. Nanti silakan gabung di Discord dan nanti kamu bisa kirim kredensial kamu di sana ya.
Oke.
Untuk GoPay. Tuh udah ditunggu Kak Hana tuh buat join Discord. Nanti di Discord bakal ketemu ada aku, ada Hana, dan juga ada Kak Arike juga yang di sana kita akan ada activity rutin setiap minggunya. Boleh cerita dong nggak di Discord tuh ada kegiatan apa aja Kak Hana? Kenapa teman-temannya harus gabung di Discord?
Wah, iya, thanks Kak Aji. Halo Kak Ibnu Sultan, selamat ya memenangkan saldo GoPay. Ya, untuk join di Discord pastinya akan banyak aktivitas dan hal-hal menarik nih Kak Aji dan juga teman-teman semua yang hadir di sini. Nah, sebelumnya juga aku mau thank you untuk Kak Anton Lucanus nih yang banyak sekali di chat, got some good insight nih dari mereka semua. Nah, ini salah satunya nih kita punya SolMate Talk yang ini ya Kak Aji ya. Nah, yang lain-lain tuh banyak banget. Yang pertama itu di Senin kita ada kerja bareng atau Monday Working Lounge. Abis itu di Rabunya, maksudnya kerja bareng gimana sih? Nah, yang maksudnya adalah kita standby dari jam 9 sampai jam 5 sore di Discord tuh teman-teman semua. Jadi di channel itu kita kerja bareng, duduk bareng, dengar musik bareng, atau ada yang mau ditanyain juga langsung ngobrol aja di situ. Terus Rabunya kita ada Wellness Wednesday. Nah, itu internal, lebih ke internal, jadi soulmate yang ada di dalam ataupun nanti tim Solos akan lead the session 1 jam aja di situ. Terus nih yang udah join boleh dong komen di chat, mantap nih ada Kamal, kakak yang lain ya.
KLD nih tadi sambil event sambil join dia.
Oh iya.
Multitasking dia.
Mantap, iya. Nah terus itu Rabu, terus Jumatnya tadi tuh setiap jam 1 nih guys kita ada Founders AMA atau Ask Me Anything gitu. Jadi so far itu yang weekly basisnya. Jadi kita nanti mau denger juga dari teman-teman Soulmate ya, kira-kira apa lagi yang perlu ditambah nih Kak Aji gitu. Bukan cuma yang 3 itu, mungkin nanti kedepannya akan semakin banyak lagi. Jadi pastikan semuanya langsung aja tuh udah ada tadi aku share untuk join ke Discord community. Sama yang belum sign up, langsung di link sign up-nya Solos ya, ada di kolom chat Zoom ini. Alright, aku udah join Discord nih Kak. Oke Kak Arif, mantap. Kak Elda Silalahi sama Kak Mala. Oke, cakep. Silakan kembalikan kepada Bapak MC kita. Thanks Kak Aji.
Oke, terima kasih banyak. Oke, mungkin sebelum kita tutup, aku pengen juga minta bantuan teman-teman ya untuk mengisi feedback form untuk acara kita pada sore hari ini, agar kan Solos juga ingin selalu bertumbuh sama kayak kamu juga nih setiap harinya biar lebih baik dan juga bisa memperbaiki diri untuk depannya, untuk event selanjutnya tentunya. Jadi minta tolong bantuan teman-teman dan juga SolMate di sini buat mengisi feedback form. Dan sekali lagi terima kasih banyak kepada thank you so much for Anton Lucanus for your time and for your great insight to enlighten people in here and give us new perspective about how to win clients, repeat clients, dan juga tentunya tim Solos, dan juga yang pastinya nggak akan lupa untuk mengucapkan terima kasih kepada seluruh soulmate yang udah meluangkan waktunya pada sore hari ini dari jam 5 sore tadi sampai jam 6, tepat waktu juga kita. Jadi kita ucapkan terima kasih banyak. Sampai jumpa di kesempatan lain lagi dan tentunya di Discord community. Sampai ketemu di sana, dan juga mungkin kalau misalnya ada yang mau ditanya-tanya, boleh langsung hubungin kami juga.
Yes,
Oke,
dan kita
kalau
foto
gitu.
bareng dong Kak Aji.
Oh ya, boleh, silakan.
Foto bareng. Oke. Kita stop recordingnya dulu ya.